Hey everybody, welcome to week 2, 6 to go. So you can tell the class goes pretty quickly once we start moving. Just a few thoughts for the previous week. Generally, everybody did a great job and really got at the core of what I was trying to ask you in that first assignment. For those of you that I felt like there may be some additional questions, please make sure you look at the comments that I left in your assignment. One kind of thing for everybody. Some of you are moving in this direction. Some of you probably need to start working on this. Cite as you write. It'll make it so much easier to construct this paper in the end if you already have documented where you got the information that you are using in your arguments. So go ahead and just start, actually putting APA format into your paragraphs as you write your annotated bibliographies from here on, and you will be in such an easier position to simply copy and paste the stuff that you think is going to be worthwhile in your final paper. So cite as you write. Just kind of make that your theme for the next about 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Make sure you're starting to post all of your references in your discussion boards. Some groups were really active. A couple others, I think you need to, get in there. Now, if you think about the purpose of these discussion boards, as I mentioned to you in some of the comments in your discussion board, think of this as basically an insurance that you will have all the references you need to meet expectations for your final grade. Part of your analysis will be based upon, or part of my grading of your analysis will be based upon what you say. But a big component is, did you find enough references to show that you did the work and that these arguments are based upon fact, or credible sources, not just your take on how this all works. I think going forward in the future, when you start working in particular industries or certain markets, you will be the expert. But at this point, I can't assume that. So I'm really hoping that you kind of realize this is a research project and you need to treat it as such. So provide proper documentation. Okay, so on to this week's analysis. So you've made this claim now about what kind of market structure you believe your strategic group operates in. You may have realized that it's different from the industry as a whole. Well, what you're going to try to do this week is understand that history isn't just explaining what's happened in the past. In fact, in the case of a market analysis, you can use a historical analysis to provide a sense of how these firms got to be where they are. Now, I warn you early on, this does not mean a timeline. In fact, most of these firms, when you go to their webpage and they have the history section, they're going to give you a big timeline. That's not necessarily what we're trying to do here. You're trying to take a critical and analytical perspective of big events that have occurred in the history of these firms, and more so really most likely in the last 30 years, that have put them into the place where they are now. A lot of things have happened. What are some of those type of events? Maybe it's patents, maybe it's court cases, maybe it's the right CEO at the right time, maybe it was expanding into a new market before their competitor did. Maybe it was reinventing the product. Maybe it was certain type of membership, right? So you get the idea. What are some of these big time things that really can't be repeated by rivals? And if they have been, maybe not to the degree that the firm in question was able to have. Okay, so don't create a timeline. I don't want to see 1900 the airplane was invented. If if you're thinking about shipping, or 1925 Montgomery Ward was invented, and this is what allowed Costco and Target and Walmart to exist today. No, all right, that's not what we're looking for here. It's think about the kind of the firm's history, internal and external. It could be way outside of the firm's scope. They may have had nothing to do with it, but it was an event that the management at the time was able to capitalize on and use it to their advantage to put them in the position that they are today. Okay, so be critical, be analytical, don't rely on one source. Discuss with each other in your discussion board what events you think have allowed these firms to be in their position. And I really think you'll see the richness of historical analysis early on in your project, in terms of kind of the overall market analysis that you're trying to complete. If you have any questions, please be making sure to get in touch with me, contact, email me. You can basically use multiple forms of communication if you have any questions. But one thing I can say is don't wait. Take this, set out a time each week and really kind of devote just maybe a couple hours to getting each task done so that in week 7, when you're putting this all together, it is not a scramble. In fact, some of you may already be done at that point. All right, so I will check in with you in the midweek and just kind of give you some thoughts if I've had any new comments or new discussion that I think that whole class would benefit from hearing. But otherwise, all right, I'll talk to you soon.